With us, Peter Segal, renowned director from the States. Let's start with you, Peter. What made Grudge Match tick? You've always loved boxing. What is it about the sport and these two that made it so special?
Well, I've grown up in what I call the golden age of heavyweights with Ali, Frazier, and I followed the sport my whole life. But I think in 1976 there was a movie that particularly caught my eye and inspired me to go on and try to make that kind of movie. And in 1980, another film came along, also about boxing and a particular person, played by these two gentlemen, 76 and 80. And it was really dream casting that we had to thread the needle. We could not make this movie if we didn't get these two guys here to participate. So it all came together, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Sylvester, obviously the Rocky series was one of the great cinematic stories. Why come back and take on this role? And how do you feel now compared to what you did back in the 70s?
Well, I put Rocky to rest after the last Rocky VI and Rocky Balboa. I was really happy with. I said farewell, and he sort of disappears into the distance. I thought that would be it. And then when they said, hey, let's do this film Grudge Match, I thought it was going to be a kind of a skit, if you know what I mean. I said, oh, God, I don't want to do it. I was being very precious with what we built up over the years. And Bobby kept calling and like breaking my chops. Come on, you must do this movie. Come on, don't be an idiot. Do the film. And I said, well, I don't know. It's going to be like Raging Bullwinkle against Rocky the Italian Flying Squirrel. I don't know. So I didn't know how they're going to sell this movie. But he convinced me, and then I realized, you know, it's great to be able to take these two characters and bring them back in whatever form, and just, you know, just the actual experience of seeing them in the ring, it's never going to happen again. So I thought, so you were right for once.
Robert, why were you so keen to get Sylvester and you together?
Well, I mean, the only way the movie would work is if we did it, and if Sylvester wasn't part of it, then there'd be no reason. And everybody realized that, because Pete and I had a conversation at a party a few years ago, and he mentioned the story and all that, and even then, they didn't talk about Sylvester, but I knew that it had to be him.
Yeah, but who'd they talk about? I've been asking
No,
you never said it. Who was it, Robin Williams? Who was it? I don't know.
But anyway.
Tell me the secret here.
There's a host of fighters here, former world champions, 3 Olympic gold medalists, including 6 who are going to kick off the questions. There's heavyweight Anthony Joshua, our lightweight Luke Campbell, the little darling of the Olympics, Nicolas Adams, Darren Barker, whose own Rocky story brought him a treasured world title last year. Sheffield's unbeaten Kell Brook is here as well. Hopefully this is your year to become a world champion. And first up, let's bring the super middleweight star, who certainly made his name, didn't he, in 2013, George Groves, right in the middle of our biggest boxing grudge match at the moment. George.
Big fan. Really big fan. Question is, favorite all-time grudge matches in boxing?
Oh boy, I think to me it has to be in heavyweights. I think in every division has them, but for heavyweights it has to be, you know, the Ali Frazier thing, because I knew both of them really well. Actually, I was going to use Frazier in one of the Rockies, and in 11 seconds, that included the entire fight and the count. He came across the ring, bang, and that was it. I said, nah, I don't think, I want to use an actor instead. But I think the Gaddy won, and there was one recently, there was, what was a fantastic war we saw with 2 Hispanic fighters who were just fantastic. So it just keeps evolving. You guys are going to end up doing your own classic soon. But, you know, when you're sitting here under the lights, under the pressure, all of a sudden your brain goes out.
Robert?
For me?
Yeah.
I guess I would say the one that I'm the most aware of is the Duran-Leonard fights. Because I'm playing now Ray Arcel, Duran's trainer. He was his trainer. I'm doing a Hands of Stone, a movie called Hands of Stone. So.
Right.
And but they were, you know, great fights. Even though the second one didn't.
Yeah, I think in the Pacquiao thing, the last one, that grudge match is pretty serious too. With Marquez,
Pacquiao fight.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
bet.
George. Let's bring our Olympic super heavyweight gold medalist up. He's going to have a big year this year. Anthony Joshua.
Hey.
Good afternoon. The question I have is Jake LaMotta versus Rocky Balboa. Who do you think will win?
Me. Only because I'm writing the script. That's right. I don't know. Rocky would have a real tough time against a real-life Jake LaMotta. My God. Yeah, so I can't guarantee that. But the people always say that. It'd be interesting because one's a heavyweight, one's a middleweight. But my money's on Jake. My money's always on the real fighter.
All right then, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's bring up another Olympic gold medalist, the lightning lightweight, Luke Campbell.
Hey.
Hello, question to both of you. Obviously, you've made so many classic boxing films. Who will you be more privileged in sharing the ring with?
Oh, my God. For actual fighters? Because
Yeah, obviously training for the
well,
role.
believe it or not, I had sparred with Duran, I'd sparred with Ken Norton, and I sparred with Ernie Shavers, who promised not to hit me to the head, but he hit me in the shoulder, literally knocked me across the ring and out of the shot. It was a wide angle, and it was unbelievable. And I've had the misfortune of sparring with some really good guys, and they were going light on me, to get me wrong. One guy actually got in the ring with 22-ounce gloves, and it still hurt. But I have tremendous respect for the fighters, and I always tell people, it's one thing, movies is one thing. When you get in there with a real one, even like the worst heavyweight in the world, he's gonna murder you. You know what I mean? You're an actor, and you just gonna appreciate the skill and the pain and the suffering, and also the glory and the amount of skill that goes into what you do. That's why I love the sport so much. Your turn.
Yeah, no, exactly what Sylvester said. It's like, I have great respect for fighters. It looks easy, it's not. It's like, not nice to get hit. And over, make it your profession. I have great respect for
So
fighters.
Jake didn't hit you one time?
No.
Not
No,
one?
he did. He hit me when he was trying to get me to keep
He
my
didn't like
guard.
slip one in there?
He hit me.
Well, I'll do it for him.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Next up, she was the darling, wasn't she, of the Olympics in 2012, Nicolas Adams.
Right, my question's for Robert. Is this the first time you've laced up the gloves since your film, The Raging Bull?
Yeah, I mean, from time to time, I would just train for the sake of it, but, and actually, when I started with the movie with Sylvester, he had a great trainer, a guy named Rob Sally, who trained me, and he's been working with for about 10 years, and he taught me the choreography that Sylvester created, and he was just terrific, inspiring, this guy. He doesn't like me to say
I know.
nice things about his
I won't be able to
prices.
hire him anymore. He'll be too expensive. He was the worst trainer I've ever seen, ever. No, but it was great, because it's funny. He did. It's 30 years later, we put on the gloves, and there's a lot at stake because it's such a great movie, and then you wonder how this is going to work out. And you also have to choreograph this fight. We're using, actually, the gloves would be illegal. I think you're not allowed to use 8 ounces in light heavyweight, are you? I think it's, yeah. So we were bringing out the good stuff, if you know what I mean, the real firepower stuff. And every now and then you get nicked by accident, even with an 8-ounce glove. My God, it's like being hit with a frying pan. It's like, are you kidding me? But he got right back into it. It's like riding the bicycle, you know. He just couldn't wait to punch me. Why is that?
No, he's been in it so much that he's more used to saying, he'll hit me, but I'm like very
Don't want to get
wary
hit.
of him.
Thanks, Nicola. Let's bring up Kell Brook, who will be fighting for the World Welterweight title some point in 2014.
Hey.
Kell.
Afternoon, guys. Mine's for training for this fight. What will rivalry like? We are both trying to outdo each other in training for this film.
Well, when I was training, I was training in New York, and Sylvester was in L.A., and then finally we got together in New Orleans. But he just came in and took over the whole thing.
I couldn't wait to get him in the ring. It was like, oh, finally.
But this
Finally.
but it was good. It was great.
Good. Yeah. But we were training. I was training really hard because I really wanted to beat up Jake LaMotta so badly, and but he came ready, and it was pretty stout. I was, for example, a lot of guys don't realize, the canvas was, we made it really, really thin as fast as we could, like it was almost on wood. It's like, because a lot of people don't realize a lot of fighters have to fight on very, very soft canvases, and that can get to your legs after a while. So we said, let's make it almost like an ice skating rink, so we get around easier. So we started to spar a little bit, and I saw that his best movements are very much like it was in Jake LaMotta, and Rocky is that same kind of fighter. But I prefer to back up and actually counterpunch for real. So we decided this time, let him be the Rocky-esque Jake LaMotta. Let him come forward, and I'd be the one always trying to slip and do my best. But I didn't realize that takes a lot of energy, Jesus. But that's how, and we finally got our styles together, and we just pursued it from there. Thanks.
Thanks, Kel. Let's bring up a fighter we all know, won the world middleweight title out in the States last year. A real Rocky story himself. Darren Barker.
Yeah.
Hello. Question for both of you. When and what sparked your interest in boxing?
Well, do you want to start first?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not into boxing as much as Sylvester is, but I've always been interested since I was a kid, watching boxers. And LaMotta, I would see around. He was like a bouncer in a club that I'd see him from time to time. And that's actually then when the book was sent to me, I had something, I connected to him, and what amazed me was that he was so out of shape, or not out of shape, just overweight and so on. So that was always something I thought why.
Well, mine's a little more dramatic and traumatic too. I was in school and there was this big bully and he was coming after me, and then I just started to move around and I just was starting to pepper him, and I mean, like bang, 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 and I went, wow, I like this. And in other words, I actually always had a feeling for boxing, and then I just became the school bully until someone bigger came along and beat me up. But it was always an affinity. So I started to really study the sport, because I'm not overly gifted at anything. I just understand the dynamics of it and the counter and the science and the physics of it, about angle. So I'm enamored with it. I mean, I'm surprised I didn't end up marrying a referee. You know what I mean? So, I really like the sport a great deal.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Darren. Before I open it up to the floor, I just want to ask Peter, what was it like working with these two, obviously, film legends? How different are they as people and as boxers?
Well, I think both these guys are very different than you think they would be. I think Sly has a great sense of humor, and Bob is shy. Go figure. But together,
What?
I know, it's shocking.
Come on.
It's shocking.
I don't believe it.
But, obviously their film legacy is so tremendous that having them together, I just have to say, the first time that they came to New Orleans and they set foot into the same ring, I was not a director that day. I was a kid. I just took out my cell phone and started taking pictures.
Yeah,
It was just great.
It really was amazing.
I think a lot of us are kids today. Can I open the floor? Any questions? Oh, lots. Okay, let's start in the front row.
How active are Mr. De Niro and Mr. Stallone on the personal level using social media?
Every time I use social media, I get really in trouble. I mean, I think George Clooney said it best, you got to be an idiot if you're a celebrity, you use Twitter, then you wake up in the morning when you're sober and you realize your career is over. and it's come close. And so, you know what I mean? You got to be really, really careful, because you tend to be think you're a genius up there in the middle of the night, and they wake up an idiot. So I'm just really basically with the iPhone and I think I figured out how the camera works. I keep it pretty simple. They keep saying, well, to get an Instagram. Isn't it for younger people, Instagram? Wouldn't we look kind of like pervs? Like pervs? Here we are at the hospital getting our back checked. Here we are. Here we are. On dialysis. Here we are. No, I think that'd be kind of cool. So the answer for me is pretty primitive. I'm almost like a chalkboard. I'm pretty simple. And you?
Me? No, no, I'm not. I mean, I can email, text, but that's it.
All right, I'm going to text you right now and see if you net it.
Mr. Stallone, how long where you haven't scripted it and you're not directing it?
Very good question. Well, it's kind of like being a pilot in a plane and you hit turbulence, but you're the passenger. You go, can I get in the cockpit for a second and see, you know? And then after you realize that the pilot is pretty good, you sit back and relax, and it's almost a vacation to actually have a great script, have a great director, have a great co-star. But it happens very rarely. Usually with a director you're not sure of, you're with an actor, you can barely stand, or you don't talk to him. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And you know what I mean? It's just, you have no communication. The actor yells cut, and then you run there's just literally no communication. So it's very, very rare when it happens. It happened, actually, again, in Copland, it happened this time. So it's only happened 2 or 3 times after, I don't know how many films I've done, but it's very rare, and I enjoy it.
Second
row. It's a question for Peter. There's a cameo in the end credits, and I don't want to ruin it for audiences, but I do want to know, how did you get those two guys in a room together? And Sylvester, as a big boxing fan, did you want to be on set that day?
I know. The truth is, they did that at literally 5 o'clock in the morning, so I was going, I like them, but not that much.
Yeah, scheduling reasons, we had to do that incredibly early. So not only was, the atmosphere on the set that day electric, no one knew what was going to happen, about putting these two guys in the same room after all those years and what happened. And so it was one day that waking up at 4 in the morning was a pleasure, because everyone brought gloves to be signed. Everyone was waiting with their cell phones ready, in camera mode, talking about what we were just doing. And boy, I couldn't be more impressed with how prepared they were. They showed up on time. There were just handshakes and smiles. I don't know what they were thinking inside, but outside they were very cordial.
Nice to hear. Go on. Got Mike.
Sorry, question for Mr. Stallone. From Men's Fitness magazine, so it's a training-related question. In the film, your character uses a lot of kind of old-school strongman style exercises to get in shape for the fight. In your opinion, what are the benefits of doing those kind, like say like the tire flip or truck pull? What are the physical benefits of doing those from a strength and conditioning point of view, and how would you incorporate them into your training sessions in real life?
Well, I think that right now training is so scientific and better in many, many, many ways. But then I go back to the old school. My favorite fighters a lot of time were like Harry Greba at 435 fights with one eye, and he literally would fight 35. What am I talking about? 46 times in 1 year. And you say, how can they possibly do that? And this is with 4-ounce gloves and no mouthpiece. And the way their conditioning was, their training, there was just a different sort of muscles they used. A lot of the woods, chopping things, just a lot of manual labor. And I thought, I'm going to try to incorporate that in the training, because I think when it gets right down to it, there's a certain kind of, as I said in Rocky VI, blunt force trauma, just developing that kind of power that George Foreman used. And then also mix it with the scientific aspect that you learn with, plyometrics and everything else in the gym. But I think there is something about those fighters that could go 40 rounds. I used to love in these old fights, they go, yeah, my strategy is that I'm going to take him out in the 33rd. I go, take him out in the 30th? That's your plan? Yeah, I'm going to wear him out in the 33rd, 34th, I'll drop him. True. So these guys like battling Nelson and these guys. So anyway, yeah, I think there's something very active and dramatic looking. Like, can I pull that truck? No. I was like, I said, what am I, like some Polish strongman? Like the world's strongest man competition? Did you get a smaller truck, like a wheelbarrow? But no, it'll look dramatic. Thanks. So now everyone's going to ask me to pull trucks the rest of my life. But yeah, I believe in the old school and the new school. I think neither one is dispensable.
Hello, gentlemen. Can I just say, first of all, that both your movies inspired me to become world champion. I was a young boxer back in the day, so thank you very much for that. Can I ask Mr. De Niro, how hard was it to play a real boxing legend, both in shape and out of shape?
Well, it was hard, you know, the training. I mean, at the end of the day, we just did Marty Scorsese and I just did our take on Jake and his life, a part of it, and so on. But it was hard. I mean, just the physical stuff was hard. The weight, gaining the weight, you know, after 20 pounds, 15, 20 pounds, it's just work. It's drudgery. And then losing it again, taking it all off.
Did you get health problems at all?
No. I mean, I had a doctor who was monitoring the whole thing, the whole way as I was doing it.
You're supposed to say, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Deathbed, yeah. I lost consciousness. Okay.
Mr. Stallone, how did you manage to get expelled from school 14 times?
All right. You can probably tell right now I tend to be a little hyper, and that's exactly what it is. And back then, they had no tolerance for it. Everyone had to march a certain line. And if you're out there flirting with some girl, looking outside, watching a caterpillar crawl up your arm, things like that were more interesting than school, you were gone. Especially in the days of the Catholic schools, like, oh my God, out. And so finally, they just said, you cannot come back to school, period. Like, well, okay, I'll become an actor. You know? No, but it was, today they call it, I was ADD. Well, I was ADDAA plus 8A. Still am, yeah.
Peter, how long had this idea for this movie been running in your head since you were clearly inspired by Rocky and Jake?
Well, Bill Gerber gave me the script a couple of years ago, and when we started working on it, it was just written for two guys in their 60s. It wasn't written specifically for these two men, but the more we worked on it, the more I realized that as much of a comedy as it was going to be, that the fight had to be taken very seriously, and we had to play it very real and make it gritty. And we could not think of any other people to play these characters other than these two. And of course, the added bonus is we get to bring a lot of their legacy in the ring cinematically to it as well. But once again, we could not have made this movie without these guys.
Guys, for the two guys in the middle, both of you, after all your years in Hollywood, if you could have a real-life grudge match, who would you like to get in the ring?
Oh, you mean as an actor?
No, real life.
Oh, in real life, it's usually someone, it would be like an attorney. Yeah, someone like that. It's someone in another profession. In real life, if you could get in the ring with some, well, it'd probably be like great to get in there with some dictator and say, okay, let's see what it feels like for you to get punched out, that kind of thing. But it would take that's a long list. How about you? Do you have anyone?
Yeah, I had some people, but I'm not going to say.
Why not? Come on. You can tell me. You can tell me. I won't tell you. Come on.
Question for Mr. Segal. Basically, well, it's alluding to the alert that the gentleman spoke about before, the guest cameo that we don't really want to mention. Was it very expensive?
It was more expensive than we thought.
Oh,
but,
really?
Yeah, yes. But money apparently talks, so it spoke loud enough to get them there.
And also a question for Mr. Stallone and Mr. De Niro. I was very impressed with your training sequences. You showed that older guys can really do it. But do you have an opinion on older guys fighting? Do you believe older guys should box?
Well, let's just define, what do we call it? Let's just say old. Is it, as we know, 40 is a pretty good age for a fighter that's like pushing it. I think after that, you're asking for some serious trouble. It also depends what kind of fighter they were. Like, for example, when I was in there with Antonio Tarver, who was at that time the light heavyweight champion, and we were moving around, and we used special gloves where he could really crack. And it hurt, but it didn't have the concussive power because I took the padding out and moved the hand clinch, and so you had about that much in there. And I could see that I wouldn't last very, very long. So that's why we put in that thing where he broke his hand. So I think 40, 42 is, now you're hitting the miraculous stage where there could be terrible repercussions. I mean, Bernard Hopkins is a freak because he hasn't taken much punishment in his style of throwing 30 punches, 35 punches around. He's kind of like slowed down time. Whereas a fighter like a Tyson or Joe Frazier, they have a very short shelf life because they have to work so hard to overcome the size compensation. So to answer your question, no, I don't think it's a good career move to go past 40 unless you're just a phenomenon, like a Duran or someone like that. Am I wrong? Or
no, you know your stuff.
You know what I mean? Yes, yes.
We've got time for a couple more.
Hi guys, really enjoyed the film. At the beginning of it, Sharp jokes about how he's going to, he wanted to be a dancer, and in the end Kid does some dancing. I was wondering if any three of you were ever considering doing a dancing film anytime soon.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about Nutcracker Suite. Is it too late for us to do a ballet, Christmas ballet? Seriously, come on. You can do anything.
You got some moves, Bobby. I've got to say.
Yeah, you got the moves. No, the idea of, I tried to sing once and I almost ended up like haunting a ship with that voice. So I said, and dancing, come on, real guys don't dance, come on. We go through the motions, but nah.
Yep. Far end.
Hi, this is a question for Sly and Rob. After working together on Copland, have you always been looking for another project to work together on?
Always, yeah. I mean, am I always looking for him? Absolutely. I mean, he's got a little talent. He's got a few days left. You know, I'm trying to use him up as fast as I can because guys like this come along once in a generation or even longer. So, yeah, I'm always looking for something. I mean, he doesn't feel the same way, but I do.
No, I mean, if something had come along, we would have done it, and you never know in the future. Absolutely. You know.
And by the way, those guys that take offense to like real guys don't dance, I'm joking. Okay, I don't want want someone protesting in front of my hotel like some dancing society. No, I'm sorry. I'm joking.
Final question.
Yeah, hi. It's a question for Mr. Stallone. It's actually a question from another British boxer. I work for Men's Lifestyle magazine, and one of our columnists is former heavyweight champion David Haye. He fancies himself as a bit of a budding actor, and wants to know whether you'd be interested in casting him in an upcoming movie. I think he fancies himself for The Expendables.
I think, well, you know, he actually has a look about him, and you never know until you never know. Some people you see off camera, you go, God, this guy, and then the camera falls in love with them, and then you see some incredibly handsome looking, good looking woman, they get on and the camera hates him. So he just has to get up there in front of us and see what he's got. But I wouldn't eliminate that as a possibility.
Thanks very much, guys. What a pleasure to have Sylvester Stallone and Robert De Niro here in London. Peter as well. Thank you, guys, and thanks for coming.
And you did a great job. Thank you.